Hi guys, Khan here from Ninja Pulls. Stamina Sorcerer is at it again, pushing DPS further into the realm of the ridiculous. Last week when update 39 dropped, I put up my usual mini guide with a static rotation that hits 135k. Let me say that again, a static rotation that hits a sustained 135,000 damage per second. Somewhere, my Magicka is going,
"What the actual f*** is this? The f***ing stam sorc? Again? This is some dog shit."
To be fair, I feel like it's okay for single target classes to compensate for the lack of free cleave with really high focused damage. And the fact that it's quite easy and accessible without being boring, that's a huge plus. The extra power this patch comes from 4 things. 1. The Maelstrom 2H now grants a bonus to all our direct damage for 18 seconds. 2. Rapid strikes and bound armaments inherit that bonus on all 4 ticks. 3. Armaments is now a permabuff, so every cast is pure damage goodness. 4. It's also cheap, so our sustain is good enough to run max stamina food. Here's the setup: 6 medium, 1 light slime crawl, kilt on the legs, Maelstrom greatsword back bar, daggers front bar. This is what I'll use in content by default, but it is flexible. If you need range, swap to a bow front bar and use lethal arrow as your spammable. You shouldn't lose more than 2% damage. I'll show a bow DPS test in this video after the one with daggers. Kilt does not work everywhere, but it is a good default. Swap it out for Whispers, Fate, Coil, whatever you need, or just drop the Mythic and equip more of the Infernal, which is still really strong on Sorcerer. Reliquien and Coral Riptide are interchangeable, but keep in mind that Reliquien is buffed by the Sorc's Energize passive, and you'll need to switch food to sustain Riptide. I feel like it's just extra hassle, but it's up to you. For multi-target fights, where Sorc isn't the strongest class, at least Riptide can give you a little extra. Another thing you can do for cleave is remorph your ult to the charged Atronach, which damages everything around it instead of just one target. If you're not saving ult for overload, or if you've got pillagers and would rather drop back-to-back Atros, or if you just can't be arsed, move the Atro to the back bar and put Dawnbreaker on the front. For short fights, you can drop Carve. The damage per cast is amazing once you hit 3 stacks, but if the fight's halfway over by then, you're better off with Hurricane. Finally, if you're the only Sorc in the group and need to provide minor prophecy, you can swap armaments for crystal fragments and fire it whenever it procs, or swap Carve for a dark magic ability and cast that every 20 seconds. I think that's all the important stuff. The rotation should be familiar. Pre-buff with the pets, overload and trap. Replace trap with Carve in the opening sequence, then armaments, 2 spams, and then you're into it. If you have over 300 ultimate at the beginning, overload works great with the amplitude passive to give us a big opening burst and drag up our DPS, but it's not needed. If you do use it, drop the Atronach as you hit about 200 ult, or you risk going under 170 and losing it. I go over all the priority casts in my Mag Sorc video, definitely worth a watch if you haven't yet. First is Prey every 6 seconds, then Stampede and Trap every 18 seconds. Next is Carve, then the pets. Cast them at the end of each sequence, or stagger them if your weaving is really fast, whatever works. Just remember that the Twilight is a dead cast from 50% onwards. The rotation is pretty chill, giving us plenty of time to spam until armaments hits 3 stacks, then light attack into the 4th stack to fire the daggers. If your weaving is really fast, it will sometimes get the order of operations wrong, firing 3 daggers and adding a new one instead of firing 4. If this keeps happening, cast it a tiny bit later, or just wait until it shows 4 stacks. You won't lose much damage. This is practically identical to the Mag Sorc rotation, just a little stronger, and it should be quite straightforward to duplicate what I'm doing here. Crit luck obviously helps, and my weaving is fast because I've been playing for a long time and I do a lot of testing, but you can get to 130k without going that fast. When it comes to rotations, I always try to highlight the repeating patterns. You get that rhythm into your head and muscle memory, and it gives you a foothold, freeing you up to watch movement and mechanics instead of staring at your bars all the time. I guess what I'm saying is I put a lot of work in to create and present rotations that are easy to follow, so give it a try. I bet you'll be pleasantly surprised. Try to line up your dots so they're running to the end, but once you're in the home stretch, just fire one more prey and keep spamming until the target is dead. You can use overload again in the last few seconds, but that's pretty min-maxy and probably only worth it if you've got at least 84 ultimate, which is enough for 4 light attacks. It's very nice to have such high damage and good sustain, but we shouldn't underrate the fact that we can now go ranged with minimal DPS loss, just by putting a bow on the front bar. A lightning staff also works in theory, but then you kinda have to use crystal weapon as your spammable, which changes the rotation completely. It's still pretty strong, but this is stronger and easier. Same rotation. I wouldn't be surprised if Zos feel under pressure to rein in this damage a bit, perhaps via tweaking the Maelstrom 2H. As it stands, this is more damage than we really need in PvE, but the incentive to use bound armaments and the flexibility of different weapons and different spammables, those are really cool developments for this class. I hope you guys agree and that this breakdown was useful. Almost everything in ESO becomes way easier if you bring more damage, and Ninja Pulls is on a mission to raise everyone's game so we can all clear more content and have more fun in this game. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure you share this with your sorc buddies. There's also a mini guide in the description and a longer version on the website. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet, please do. It really helps us keep the ball rolling. Have fun with the Stam Sorc, and thanks for watching.